This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show, Stugotz, is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I know that the great disparity of attention is going to be sent the way of the Chiefs and the Bills as we get to the biggest football weekend before the biggest football weekend.
The mother of all football weekend.
But the other game, because it's a division game, and because of a lot of other reasons, the quarterbacks don't have the history as the quarterbacks that we have in the other game, where you've got Buffalo and Kansas City. And we
just say it. The AFC's sexier, Dan. The AFC is just sexier.
It is sexier, but beyond that, I would ask you, what do I have to do with a quarterback to make Washington's story not feel like it's finishing a distant fourth place to these three other teams we're talking about? Because a rookie quarterback winning 2 road playoff games. Eli Manning cemented his Hall of Fame credentials by doing this through 2 postseasons. I don't think Eli Manning won another postseason game other than all the games he won on the road, the 2 years he won the championship. But Jayden Daniels is now, as a figure, someone who's probably just going to get better from here, probably just going to get physically bigger like Lamar Jackson from here, because he's listed at 210 pounds, and I don't know a lot of quarterbacks right now that are going at listed for 215 pounds. So when I say Jayden Daniels is going to grow as a quarterback, what do I have to make the rookie quarterback for you guys to believe in the idea of, yes, I've already seen what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes can do, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, but I haven't seen the ceiling on what this is. This is just getting started, and it has a chance to go into the most hostile place with a player at that position who seems to show no fear of going in to hostile places. Like the mastery that you're getting from Jayden Daniels at the position as a rookie. Greg, you're an authority on football, how hard it is to play as a columnist for a long time in the Miami Herald. I said before, Jayden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback since Dan Marino. Can you put into context what we're watching right now? A player who doesn't make mistakes when you're supposed to learn your way into the game by failing all over the place before you get to a level where we're watching something that you're taking out teams on the road.
Right. No, I agree with you that he's the best, most impressive rookie quarterback of this generation for sure. On the other hand, he's a pretty big underdog in this NFC title game. He will be an underdog if he makes it to the Super Bowl. So I don't think we want to crown him yet. You know, C.J. Stroud had a pretty damn good rookie season and then sort of had the sophomore slump. I think for Jayden Daniels to really reach the level you're talking about, he has to avoid the sophomore slump and really do it again next year. But they've had an extraordinary offense. Their defense isn't that outstanding. I don't even think Terry McLaurin had a great year, but I don't think he has an elite receiver like some teams.
No, Scary Terry's great.
I mean,
I love Scary Terry. He's a great player.
He's had a great season.
He's had a great season because the quarterback's finally there. He's had a couple of great seasons without good quarterbacks.
Okay.
He is better at contested catches than anyone in the league. That's empirical.
Damn good player.
I don't think you can dismiss that.
Can I clarify? So he needs to, Jayden Daniels, do it in the playoffs next year while still in the playoffs this year.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
If you're talking about, you already have him in the Hall of Fame. He's had a great rookie season. He has terrific potential, but we've also seen quarterbacks across time, really, really impress us and wow us, and then sort of peter out a little bit. I'm just saying, let's not send him to Canton just yet. Right?
Please put it on the poll, please. Does Jayden Daniels have to have a better year next year this year? Have a better year next year this year?
Well, let's frame this historically, because Greg said some of these quarterbacks tend to flame out. This has actually happened quite a bit. It's a fairly new phenomenon, but rookie quarterbacks making the championship game has happened 5 times previously. Most recently, Brock Purdy as a Mr. Irrelevant. It's kind of crazy that we forgot about that one already. In terms of rookie quarterbacks to win 2 road playoff games, Mark Sanchez did that. He got to this point, to the mixed bag POV. Joe Flacco, in his rookie season, made it to the AFC Championship game. Ben Roethlisberger made it to the AFC Championship game his rookie season, and so did Sean King for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was the first to do that. So, bit of a mixed bag there. None of those rookie quarterbacks ended up going to the Super Bowl. Jayden Daniels would be the first one. And if you look at the list that I provided, none of those quarterbacks were the singular reason their teams found themselves in that spot. They were pretty loaded teams. Most of these built on their defenses. Jayden Daniels, I think we can reach consensus, is the reason the Washington Commanders are in this spot. If he makes it to the Super Bowl and is the first rookie quarterback to do that, we are in all-time territory. That is the greatest rookie season, I think, when you not only take into account individual accomplishments, but team, that's whole new ground that we're breaking.
That's the reason that I'm finding this being in the shadows to be interesting, because we're about to have a leap in stardom if he wins one more game. Like, I understand that football people know who this is, and I understand that all of us who are even casuals were like, yeah, Washington wasn't that good with those skill guys, and now they win games late, and he's unflappable, and he's just giving off this to his locker room, to his city, and to a loser. He's giving off this, I got this, in a way that's impossibly cool. I remember how Miami felt having Dan Marino, having the sensation that everyone's talking about. But the leap he's about to take, if he beats Philadelphia in Philadelphia, when we all know Philadelphia is better, and we're watching what is clearly the fourth best team. If Jayden Daniels can sneak in here somewhere, I don't know if people are rooting for it. I don't know what the United States is rooting for when it's Washington against Philadelphia. I know people this week got real prisoner of the moment, saying that this Barkley is the biggest Barkley in the history of Philadelphia around this show, that Saquon is bigger than Charles. But Jayden Daniels has a chance to do something uncommonly memorable here.
If you're talking about what America wants, I've been thinking this week, this may be a very difficult weekend for all of the haters, because you have two very long-suffering sports franchises that if you're not a fan of one of those, you feel petty and spiteful. Like, you don't want one of them to win before you do, right? Like, oh my God, I can't believe the Commanders are about to win a Super Bowl and my team is blah, 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 the Steelers. But then you have the Chiefs, who obviously they win all the time. Like, that's not interesting either. And then you have the Eagles, who I think are one of the more universally hated teams. Not my opinion, just what your typical hater would think.
Are the Bills America's team?
Who's the lovable team in this? I guess most people would root for the Commanders or the Bills, being first time in decades that they're in this position. Like, that's interesting. But I think there are also a lot of petty sports fans that are like, screw you. You have Josh Allen. I'm sick of you. That's not fair. I wanted Jayden Daniels. Instead, I'm stuck with Caleb Williams, and the Bears stink, and now we're all having to convince ourselves Ben Johnson's going to be different this time.
Do you guys think that what might happen...
That's what someone else would think.
...to you would happen... what happened to me during Lions and Washington, where I'm watching the game, and I think going into the game, I'm rooting for Detroit. Of course I'm rooting for Detroit. Holy, I'm rooting for Washington. Like, it starts happening, and I'm like, that changed on me while it was happening. I believe what Jessica is saying is accurate. The most lovable, benign thing that America could get behind is long-suffering Bills Mafia fan base that when Mark Andrews does that, finds a way to donate thousands of dollars to Mark Andrews, because consistently Bills Mafia is doing something that is both kind and passionate, and not whatever you think of Philadelphia fans. Even though that tailgating and breaking through flaming tables, like, those people are nuts too, but they've got a charitable component, and it masks some things. I think the Bills fan, 17 years without the playoffs before Josh Allen, 4 straight Super Bowls, losing all of them, an eternal echoing punchline. When you get your regional identity from being a Buffalo Bills fan, I brave the cold in order to support my team. Is that the team that America is rooting for because they're tired of Taylor Swift, tired of Kansas City, tired of Travis Kelce, tired of Patrick Mahomes, and they want the Bills to not only win now, but then win in the next round no matter who's available?
I've never minded the Kansas City Chiefs throughout their entire run, even as the Taylor Swift thing was going on, and I understand how that rubbed people the wrong way because she's a woman. But this year it's gotten to me because of how they're doing it. You look at their numbers, you look at their point differential, you look at the fact that they haven't scored more than 30 points. Like it's they can't keep getting away with this. They're getting away with things that flawed teams do, yet you know that we still haven't seen the best Patrick Mahomes. It's a huge weekend for football, the mother of all football weekends. All these tickets are so in demand. It's hard to get in that building. Diana Rossini's husband can't even get in that building. Well, guess what, Diana Rossini's husband? What? Why don't you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Dan for $20 off your first purchase, Diana Rossini's husband. Terms apply. Diana Rossini's husband. What time is it? Game time. You're married. Incredible. One stat here on the Jayden Daniels thing, because we mentioned that the other rookie quarterbacks that have found themselves in this position were carried by their defenses. I undersold it, Jeremy.
Yeah, Kyle Brandt pointed this out after Jayden Daniels made the conference championship. So here's where team scoring defenses ranked for each of these quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, first. Mark Sanchez, third. Joe Flacco, third. Ben Roethlisberger, first. Sean King, third. Jayden Daniels, 18th. So he's been carrying Washington.
Yeah, and Washington's especially bad against the run versus Saquon Barkley. Not a great matchup, I don't think. But, listen, Buffalo out-underdogs Washington in terms of if nationwide, America in general. If you're a dispassionate football fan rooting for the best story or what have you, you have to be a Bills fan. You just do. They haven't won. They haven't won anything since the AFL days.
Let me ask the group a question, and I should tell everybody that we will have a bit of a skeletal show tomorrow in terms of staff, because on Sunday we're going to do a watch party here where we go up to the biggest game. And we're going to be here on Sunday doing a live show for you during the games, a watch-along, a simulcast. We love doing these. You guys love watching them. Greg Cody will be here, and we will have a more vigorous crew on Sunday than we have tomorrow. But the thing that I wanted to ask you about this, because it's been fairly amazing to watch Tom Brady hand over this particular mantle. The Chiefs are a confoundment, and just about anybody who's watching football would simply assign the weird math of this season of them having 2 losses and all the games being close with, oh, they took this from Brady. They know how to win. It's a thing that they know how to do. But I'm being told that that's a thing that Jayden Daniels also knows how to do. And I'm being told that in this game, this is a thing that Josh Allen does not know how to do against this quarterback who knows how to do it. But if I showed you the season statistically, if I didn't tell you it was Patrick Mahomes, I just showed you where he was under 4,000 yards for the first time, 300-yard games, among the quarterbacks this weekend who won throwing for an average of 166 yards because of how confining some of the defenses make these things. Do you guys believe that you can articulate for me what knows how to win is beyond I don't understand how they do that, and they keep doing that, so they must know how to do that?
This is the best time to argue they know how to win, because I don't think we've ever seen a team. I guess there was a Lakers team that really coasted through the regular season and as a 5 seed learned to turn it on. And remember when the Heat really stumbled in their defense year in 2007. We just kept referencing, well, Shaq has done this before. But the Chiefs have the bona fides. The Chiefs have been there. The Chiefs are always there. They're omnipresent in this conversation. We've seen them win. So they're not met with the same skepticism that other flawed teams might be, even though this Chiefs team is flawed, because we've seen them do it before. And we know if there is a drive with 90 seconds or less on the clock, we are all terrified if we're opposing Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but you say we've seen them do this before, and this is what I would tell you that we haven't seen. Everyone listening to this thinks Buffalo's better.
Actually, think so. Like, I look at the talent that Buffalo lost this offseason, and yeah, in the trenches it's not sexy, but I love that offensive line, and I love that defensive line. Greg Rousseau might end up being the highest paid player on defense. It's a lot of great stories,
Miami
but these
guy.
These aren't. Thank you for pointing that out. We should. And I think he played 7 snaps against Florida. Thank you, Manny Diaz. But I think that this is really Josh Allen's year. And he went through the other guy that he's neck and neck in the MVP race. And we have never, in recorded history, seen a quarterback in the postseason go 0 for his first 4 against another quarterback. If the Chiefs win this, it'd be the first time that has ever happened. And it's another 0 for 4 that the Bills would have to their name. I love that he's in this position because he has to go through both those guys in order to get to the ultimate legendary status, somehow even surpassing Jim Kelly in that market, which was thought impossible.
I do think it's Buffalo's year to win the Super Bowl. But when you talk about trying to quantify why the Chiefs win, why they know how to win, Andy Reid in his career has coached 35 games either after a bye or after an off week. His record is 30-5. To me, if you have a coach that with added, not just added rest, but added preparation time, has that kind of a record, pretty big sample size, that's a lot of it.
But hold on a second. They weren't off last week. You're talking about because they have an extra day of rest, or like because they weren't off last week? Kansas City's not having extra preparation. They played last week.
I'm talking about in his career. He is 30-5 after a bye week or after a week of rest, which the Super Bowl is after a week of rest.
Okay, but we're talking about this game. And when I say that Buffalo is better, Mike, give me all the times Kansas City is a 1.5-point favorite at home in a playoff game with Patrick Mahomes. What was the spread in that Patriots game when the Patriots went in there and had what was, I thought, their most impressive victory of the entire Belichick era because they were not as good as that Kansas City team, and they had the perfect game plan to just hold the ball all game, and they beat that Kansas City team in Kansas City. But Buffalo being only a 1.5-point dog on the road says that the money says Buffalo's better. Like the record, here's what you have with Buffalo and Kansas City that's interesting. Kansas City's record is better. But if I give you all the other stats, including the quarterback, and don't tell you, if I just put them next to each other and say these people are playing these people, the only reason Kansas City is a favorite in this game by 1.5, the only reason is because people think that they know how to do that, that they will not lose this game because Patrick Mahomes knows how to not lose this game, being 16-3 in the playoffs with the same number of wins already as Joe Montana.
In that 2019 AFC Championship game between Tom Brady's Patriots and Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, the Patriots were actually 3-point dogs headed into that game and won outright.
Imagine being in the Super Bowl so many times you're just like, oh yeah, we're playing in the Super Bowl later. Like, do you think Patrick Mahomes even is like, cool, this is a great moment, this is so important? I think he just shows up and he's like, oh dang, cool.
You have the added juice of, even though the Bills haven't got the better of them in the postseason, they almost did in one of the greatest games of all time. They beat them this year. They were the defeat in their record, really the lone real defeat, because I'm not counting that Broncos one with them resting all their starters. This one has so much juice to it that I do think he gets up for this, and it's his contemporary. It's a guy that everyone is pointing to, saying that guy's probably MVP, had a much better season than Patrick Mahomes, so he's going up against the best version of Josh Allen and the perceived weakest version of himself. I think he gets up for it.
I think there's a reason why Buffalo is almost a pick 'em game, 1.5 to 2 points, depending where you look. Buffalo's offense is better than Patrick Mahomes' offense this year. James Cook is a better running back than Kareem Hunt has been, who's averaging like 3.4 yards a carry. And the defense, I would say Kansas City has an edge on defense, but Buffalo's offense has been much better, appreciably better.
I do want you guys to look up for me, though, in the Mahomes era here, how often they have been this small a favorite at home, because this is all about the point differential between these two teams. We've all seen Kansas City play all of these close games, and Buffalo blows people out more frequently. Almost never gets blown out. Neither does Kansas City. But we all remember watching Kansas City wheeze against Carolina this year. Just be overwhelming at every turn. What you've seen in the salary cap age as they've lost Tyreek Hill is basically Kansas City's offense gets 10 points shaved off it. Just, they used to be a team you expected 30-plus points a game. Now they're routinely in the low 20s because that's how they win football games with one of the, if not the youngest defense in in the sport. But I'm not going to find a lot of times that there is the feeling that the team going into Kansas City to play in the cold is this small of an underdog.
Right.
The money is telling you that they think Buffalo is better, and the reason that Kansas City can win is that know how to win with snow and home field.
Yeah, well, it's a cold weather team they're playing too, so I don't think the weather is that much of a differential here. But keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes, by his standards, did not have an extraordinary season. Didn't even make the Pro Bowl, which is like unheard of. I mean, he makes the Pro Bowl every year.
Can you guys look up for me some of the statistical ranks of Patrick Mahomes this year so that people understand that he was between 10 and 15 and sometimes under 15 in some places where that offense was limited and frustrating? Because this is not the Kansas City team you remembered, and it's getting credit based on previous incarnations of the Kansas City team because Travis Kelce just had 117 of their 177 yards, and people are saying he can turn this on.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen before. He can have 3 straight 100-yard games because he can just flip a switch and say, I'm not hurt anymore.
This doesn't happen, really. Patrick Mahomes being a home dog or slight fave all that often. But it did happen in 2021. The Chiefs were really struggling out the gates, and they hosted Buffalo, which was a 1-point favorite on the road. Revenge playing a big factor in that game after one of the all-timers.
And Buffalo ended up winning that game?
Yeah, I believe so. You're asking a lot of questions. You're really testing my ChatGPT today.
Well, so forgive me for this, but because this game is something that I believe the audience, this is super weird, man. This is a super weird situation to have in a game. One of the quarterbacks has been far and away better than the other the entire season, and on top of that has eliminated his primary weakness in such an enormous way that he's the best protector of the football in the sport. And I think people believe that he will fumble or intercept or get thrown an interception on Sunday, and that he will figure out a way to not be able to beat the guy who knows how to win, because he's got to learn something about knowing how to win. And
this is why we watch sports, dude. This is legacy-making stuff on the line. It's why I wanted the path of Lamar versus Josh Allen, because you would have that no matter what going into the AFC Championship game, provided that they handled their business against Houston. And thank goodness that they did, because this is the drama that'll draw everybody in. They've had such marquee games that have been so highly rated that casual, tangential fans, girlfriends or boyfriends of people that follow this sport avidly know this storyline going into it, and they know all the baggage that is attached to the Buffalo Bills.
Ahead of this game, the smallest spread that the Chiefs had in a home playoff game was against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. That was 1.5.
Josh Allen is the MVP favorite against Patrick Mahomes, going for the first three-peat in history. Epic final. I know in the semifinal, I know we all thought Buffalo against Baltimore was as good as it gets, but this is just a dramatic final. It dwarfs the, Jayden Daniels aside, it dwarfs the NFC final.
Yeah, it is funny because if you look at the championship odds, the Eagles are actually favored to win the championship. Now, a lot of that has to do with their path going to it, and this is essentially a pick'em game, so it's really hard to handicap a certain team going through this game and then winning the additional game. But whoever wins this game will indeed be favored in the Super Bowl.
I was just handed a stat. Patrick Mahomes has been a 2-point favorite or less 6 times in the playoffs. He's 6-0.
Of course. Would you drive an Oldsmobile Orsilac at Le Batard Show?
Wait, wouldn't that run counter to the Bengals stat that we just read off, though? Because he did lose that game to the Bengals. And if that was
no,
just
he didn't.
The Bengals beat them in the AFC
Bengals,
Championship.
I had that. I could be wrong. I thought that was a
The Bengals made it to that Super
23-20 victory for the Chiefs.
I know. I saw the Rams
look.
play the Bengals. I wrote a musical
That's
about
true.
it.
Just know if I was wrong, it was handed to me on a paper.
Okay, very good.
Al Golden was coaching in that game. I'm gonna miss him
How about
so
this?
much.
We haven't talked about this. Al Golden has refurbished himself. Al Golden is now a professional coach. He is now, I know he was a professional coach before, but he is now
coordinator.
He is now in the NFL. He has revamped his entire image. Al Golden is now pristine, is he not? He is a coveted
He
person.
gave us one last corner blitz. One last corner blitz on the way out. I'm going to miss him so much.
We have Rose has gotten into position. It has been very disappointing that we have said that we are going to support Pat Riley here, and we are going to build a statue to Pat Riley that stands over the Miami Heat's arena. And it's been embarrassing to me as somebody who's the founder of Meadowlark Media and feels like we should have pride and class in the things we do. It's been embarrassing to see that inflatable what do you call it, Jessica? Inflatable
Wacky
car?
inflatable arm man.
Okay.
Tube man.
Yeah, people know what you're talking about
Tubi.
there. Yes.
His name's Tubi.
Thank you. It's pathetic. Chris.
Dan, we've heard your complaints. Video team, show him the new statue.
We have a new one?
We're panning over very dramatically here.
Oh, we do have it. Hey!
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Look at that. Look at us.
That's a statue. It looks like the actual guy.
Look at that.
It's
Who is
him.
that?
He's there.
Hasn't aged a day.
Looking young.
Yes.
Better likeness than the Wade statue.
Pointing over. Like, you see him there pointing at his arena.
We got down to the bottom of the confusion. There were 2 AFC championships between the Bengals and the Chiefs. The one that the Bengals actually won, the Chiefs were bigger favorites in that game. They were -7.
Yeah, I stopped listening as soon as there were a bunch of numbers.
You want more numbers?
No, I do not. Although I do want you to appear every once in a while as the superhero who comes on and annoys people with math.
Dog, you're
Isn't
the
that what
one
I do
asking
every
for the
day?
numbers.
I know, but people don't like the numbers, and then sometimes there are too many numbers, and in this particular case, we ended up with so many numbers that you guys just ended up confusing everybody with Bengals numbers that you couldn't tell whether they were right.
Well,
or
you're
not.
the one that's just fallen in love with your new ChatGPT toy via me, and you're just putting me in a really tough spot here.
I'll give you a number. Al Golden, he's like 6'6". I mean, he's really tall. Just understated, but so tall.
Interesting.
So much.
I don't believe that that's true.
He was
You
a
don't?
tight end, wasn't he?
I think it is.
The only reason I stood next to him, he didn't feel like somebody who was substantively
You're like
bigger
6'4".
than me. Yes.
He's gotten taller since he got to Notre Dame.
Okay. Yes, he did. I think that happens sometimes.
That's what happens when you stand on the shoulders of giants.
He's ginormous, and I'm going to miss him so much.
Put it on the poll. Did you think, or do you think, Al Golden is 6'6"? Greg Cody covered the University of Miami, and for some reason, you didn't blanch at all at that. Beyond, you didn't know that, I should say. You just said wow in a way that suggested that you were super surprised by him being 6'6", even though you covered him.
If you'd have told, well, I didn't cover him directly. I haven't covered a UM coach full-time since Jimmy Johnson in the 80s. But to your point, I've been in Al Golden's company. I would have guessed he's about your height, 6'3", maybe. I would not have guessed 6'6".
Can we settle on 6'4.5", maybe?
I would take that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, good over-under.
We have with us what can be empirically called our most popular guest. I think that people here on the show listening to it will be surprised to learn that this is our most popular guest. But he is, without a doubt, the world's foremost public authority on UFOs. It is a field that is going mainstream. It is getting more transparency from Washington. He's got a new 3-part docuseries called UFO Revolution, which you can stream for free on Tubi. And before I get to all of the things going on in this world, Jeremy, thank you for joining us, Jeremy Corbell. Again, always appreciate your time. Before I get to what it is that you're chronicling these days most urgently, can you please tell me the starting point on how this became such an obvious lane for you to traffic in as a very smart business model? Because people are unusually fascinated by your expertise.
First of all, hey guys, nice to be here again. I hope everybody kind of has seen what the last year has given us with this topic. To answer your question, first of all, there is no authority on UFOs. That's the problem. There is no expert. We don't have all the information. That's become very clear. That's become very clear for decades. So people are trying to catch up, including myself. Now, the way you worded that, a lane for me, it was accidental, man. This isn't a business model. This is something that I'm passionate about. I got interested in this because through George Knapp, who's a great reporter, I realized we're being lied to. And I'm like, what's this big lie about? Why does it really matter? If people are seeing UFOs, they've been reporting it, our military's reporting it, our militaries are filming it, your government is telling you now that UFOs are real, that they're a craft of unknown origin, that are unidentified, that outpace, outmaneuver, and outperform our greatest weaponry, then why is this a big secret? we need to talk about this to get to ground truth on what UFOs are, which nobody has a great explanation for.
Mike Ryan has seen this documentary, UFO Revolution. I am told that we have a clip here to toss to because, again, people are unusually fascinated by this subject matter, and more relevantly, unusually fascinated by recent developments that make this a more fertile time to actually believe with proof some of the things we're seeing and hearing. So let's play a clip from UFO Revolution.
What extent will the US government go to plug leaks? I try not to think about it.
Best thing you could do perhaps is to get your name out there, become as famous and bulletproof as you can, because if they come after you relating to UFO, that's an acknowledgement that it's real.
Access Hollywood starts right now.
Join us now as investigative journalist and documentarian Jeremy Corbell. Good to see you.
He's an investigative journalist and filmmaker. He's one of the world's foremost experts on the world of the unknown.
Oh my God.
Worth it. That was certainly my favorite part.
That legitimately surprised me, seeing me dressed as Richard Simmons with that bald spot. Yeah, I think we just played that in order to show that. I don't think we want you to comment on
you followed Mario Lopez
on what what it is that was said there. But Jeremy, when you say that people are lying, like what are the most overt facts that you have that would suggest that we've been lied to for this long?
Yeah, it's not a suggestion. If you go back in history and you just look at when people do Freedom of Information Act requests and everything is blacked out, it's overclassification, you've been told by people who ran these programs that there has been an operation to lie to the American public, to diminish it. It's historic fact that Project Blue Book back in the day was a whitewash. The whole point of it was to, quote, demystify the UFO topic, was to get people to stop believing or being curious about the UFO thing. Even the head of Project Blue Book, J. Allen Hynek, later came out and said, yeah, we were told to diminish it and to dissuade the public from being interested. And this was a government program back in the day. So this still keeps going. This keeps maintaining. The problem is that people that run these programs are now speaking publicly. George Knapp and I brought somebody on our show called Weaponized, Dr. James Lakatsky. He was the Defense Intelligence Agency representative for a UFO program that is now famously public. The New York Times helped break that story. And he told the American public, he told us about one. He said, we have a craft of non-human origin, and we've breached the hull of it. I mean, this is an engineer, a physicist who worked, verified in the UFO programs. You have David Grush testifying under oath to Congress, saying we have crash retrieval programs that are secret. They've been held from the American public. We're trying to reverse engineer these technologies, and that, people have been harmed and hurt for trying to come forward. Actually, he said people have died trying to come forward to talk about this. This is all under oath in Congress. That was the big step. I think that's why we're talking about this now, is because patriots, people that have worked for our country in the intelligence agencies, are now coming forward and saying this is a reality and we can't be blind to it, because if we're blind to it, then we're going to be behind.
There is so much staggering evidence out there, and yet when you bring this up in the mainstream, people will, I'm sure you've been called a kook before, people will attack this as some sort of crazy conspiracy theory. And one of the prevailing theories as to why that is because the existence of some other life form, and I know there's a separation. UFOs are not necessarily alien life. And that's one of the big mysteries here. But just merely addressing this and giving it credence challenges a lot of the theologies, pretty much all of them, on this planet. So I guess this is a very roundabout way to ask you this. Is it easier to just cover the whole thing up and just treat it like this can't possibly exist, so we ignore it? Is that an easier cover-up than what if the actual cover-up is what you actually know is possible on this planet about technology or military advancements is pretty much just the tip of the iceberg, and the real secret here is what our capabilities are?
Right. I mean, so this is the thing. Look, I've seen the climate change even on this show. Don't think I forgot the first time I was on the show. I was getting some words from somebody back there. Look, that's the thing. This conversation is progressing with or without every individual. There are people paying attention now. And I think that's so cool. I don't mind taking ridicule. I think this is important. I mean, I really think this is important. That's why my journalism is focused on this. You can attack people saying it, but we got to go to what are the facts? What's happening? You've now had 6 people testify in front of Congress telling you about the reality. You've had New York Times break stories. You have whistleblowers coming forward. A lot of times people come forward through the media, through TV, through movies. That's just like the way it has to happen if you don't have the microphone at Congress. So the climate has completely changed about this subject. Now, why the secrecy? This is something that I'm still trying to understand after all this time of working on it. The core of it, it may be our belief systems. It could shatter our belief systems, sure. But really, I think there was good reason at the beginning. During the atomic era, when we started lighting off nukes and being able to blow up the world, I think that there was a secrecy that was put in place, a kind of architecture for our safety is kind of the idea for national security, but also just security of our planet. So I think what's happened is you see that the UFO topic at first was being covered up because if this is true, we better get a handle on these technologies. If we can exploit this technology and get a technological advantage, whatever nation does that first, they win. If we can replicate these craft, if we can replicate what they do, it appears to be a different form or understanding of physics by the way these craft move. That's famously shown by the 2004 Tic Tac case with Commander David Fravor, who chased a UFO for the United States military. He testified in front of Congress. So my thought is that is the reason the secrecy was first initiated, was to try to exploit the technologies before Russia, before China. You might have had Representative Gallagher on this show before, if I recall. He talked about that. It's called strategic surprise. So maybe that's the reason. However, now we know UFOs are real. You've been told that, but that's as far as it's gone, and you can't put that away. Once that's been said, there are more questions coming. Now, is this going to shake the foundations of what we think about the universe, about us, about if you're religious, about your religion? I don't know. I have no idea. But I know if we don't address it, we're going to have major issues.
Jeremy, if I could, because people want so much information from you and I have so many questions, let me do this a little more rapid fire. I'm going to limit you 30 seconds each time to each answer. Question number 1, what does your email inbox look like?
It looks like a slot machine in Vegas at midnight. It's just constant.
Of just people telling you, I saw this over here and it looked like a jellyfish and it was flying 100,000 miles an hour?
All around the world, 24/7, UFOs are seen, they're filmed. People also just want to tell me their experiences. People you wouldn't imagine, they say, this is not for public, this is for you to know as a data point in your research. It's incredible the amount of people that hit me up every day.
You must be sitting on a lot of leaks. What's your process to confirm?
Great question. People get really mad that I sit on information. They say, well, if I just took my emails and put them out on the internet, it's not going to help anybody because the signal to noise, I take years. George Knapp and I have our own methods and our own sources. If we get leaks to us, if people leak stuff to us as journalists, it's a catch-all. We take them in. We have to vet, verify who's the person. Can they stand behind that? Can we see their documents? Is the video worthy of putting out to the public? People also try to trick us all the time. They would love for me to make a mistake, to put something out that is easily explainable later. People try. So my process is trying over years with each case to see if I can verify the individuals and the information.
Only 31% of Americans trust the mainstream media. It's a record low. Do you think Americans now prefer to believe independent journalists like you?
I hope that the average American individual can see that we're not on script, that we say it like we know it at the time. I think there's a lot of great power in individual hands now for journalism, and it's going to take a lot of people There is no expert on UFOs. It's going to take a lot of people looking at this. So I hope they do.
TMZ presents UFO Revolution. It's a 3-part event. It's now streaming on Tubi. The greatest example that you have of shocking evidence most recently is blank.
You know, in my series, the most recent one is there was a military filmed, it looks like the gimbal UFO, that very famous one that's gone all over the media in black and white. This footage looks green. And this object comes up in Iraq during deployment in a combat zone. And there's a Marine who contacted me, and you could hear what he has to say. And it looks like a saucer. It looks like the gimbal UFO. That's a pretty cool piece of evidence.
Does the government plan to tell us at any time soon that something is about to arrive from another place and land here in 2027?
Right. So this is something people are taking out of context that I talked about in my show. I am not saying that. I am saying I believe that to be a lie. And the reason why I put that in the show, and people clip it to make it sound like I'm saying that, I'm saying I believe it to be a lie. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's like a whisper campaign within journalists and within our community. We've all heard it, that this is all preparation of the battlefield and there's some craft coming. I don't buy that for a second. I know the origin of it. I've tried to run it down. So I was trying to warn people of being told what I consider to be that lie. And look, if I'm wrong, we're all screwed.
Not to turn this into a political discussion, but the current president has gone on podcasts and has been asked about aliens, and he's shown a genuine interest to declassify everything that there is out there. And he's certainly now dealing with big tech and a lot of billionaires that have gone into space. Are we now more likely than ever with this administration to get more clarity, more transparency around this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, words are cheap. Everybody has said that they want to have more transparency on UFOs. Bill Clinton, he actually tried to get transparency on UFOs to the American public. I don't know who's controlling that information, but presidents before haven't been able to. Is it different this time? Well, I definitely know that some of the people that have been vocal about transparency on this are now in this administration. So I do hope, I don't think transparency on this is going to come from our government. I think it's going to come from civilians and journalists.
Jeremy, I appreciate your time. We appreciate your perspective. Thank you for being on with us. I look forward to seeing this on Tubi. What you did to me there was unfair. It's a bit horrifying and delightful. Thank you. I appreciate it, Jeremy.
Yeah, man, you did it to yourself. You wore the costume. Hey, guys, thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Thank you for covering this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your work.
A lot of people really like him. I have an email I've been sent here that I find fairly shocking, and I just want to put it on all of you and see what you think. Reporting from Georgia, an emailer writes in, the people who cut the TSA line were Scott Van Pelt and Matthew Berry.
Whoa. Can you confirm?
That silence is damning.
I mean, that's that report, yeah.
That is that report.
That's interesting.
I'm gonna see if I can find out right now whether
FaceTime Scott Van Pelt right now.
Would you like me to do that?
Yeah.
All right. This is
talented Mr. Rhoda.
All right. Let's see if we do this.
This is usually my move on Mystery Crate.
This is going to be embarrassing.
Hello, Kyle.
People love that, by the way. They just love it.
All right, I'm going to do
Wait,
it.
take your shirt off, Dan. That's how you normally do this, right?
I shouldn't do it.
Yeah. It is a fleshy-colored hoodie.
Tell him you're on. He's on air.
I will tell him.
We need to get to the bottom of this.
Put the mic closer to the mic. So
this is my UFO.
We are not bound by FCC rules.
I haven't called him in a long time. I'm hoping he doesn't answer.
We're not live right now.
I'm not even sure the FCC is around anymore.
Partially illegal what we're doing.
Okay. He'll answer. He loves you.
I don't want him to answer right now. I don't want to put him in this position, but you guys put me in this position.
How do you imagine SVP answers? Hey, Denny. What's up, man?
Yes.
Go.
Okay, he did not answer.
Go for Scott.
But I want to accuse him of it publicly. Everyone, go ahead and accuse him of it publicly. Say it's being reported from Georgia via email. I did want to talk to Greg Cody about something that he was maintaining earlier that I thought to be a fairly shocking viewpoint, which is he came out and said that athletes need to do better about not getting robbed.
Yeah. I wish we lived in a world where we didn't have to worry about burglars, but I think it's axiomatic that the richer you are, the more likely your home is to be targeted. And if I'm an athlete making 40, 50 million bucks a year and I hear about all this, guess what? I'm going to spend a couple of bucks, maybe get some on-site security, maybe build a big wrought iron fence. I'm going to do something to insulate my home from what seems to be a fairly systematic burglary ring.
6'2", 190, and my cars got broken into at my home. I'm not that big of a guy.
Are we victim shaming?
I think Al Golden's 6'3".
I gave you 6'4.5". That's as low as I'm gonna go.
You show me a picture of him standing next to Kyle Hamilton, and he's an inch shorter.
But he might be standing farther away from the camera.
He's also listed 6'3" in his playing
Why
days.
is it a debate how tall he is? Let's just look it up.
I'm telling you,
not available
he's
on
a
Google.
Between
tall
3 inches.
guy,
He's lost
okay?
information. Greg.
And I'm beyond the free membership of ChatGPT now at this point. Yeah. I have to go to a paid model. I'm not quite ready to do that.
Dad, how tall are you?
I am 5'9".
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
That's right. It's Thursday Thunder, and it is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Juju Gotti, what do we got today?
Yes, sir. Salute to everybody who got money with us last week on Thursday Thunder.
Hit it.
We broke the drought, you feel me? Let it rain on America and everywhere that DraftKings are available. You dig me? This week, many man wished death upon he. Blood in his eyes, dog, and he couldn't see. He just trying to be who he destined to be. And brothers tried to take his life away. I'm going with the Wolverine, a.k.a. Brian Robinson Jr., over 9.5 carries for the first leg.
Juju got beat one time by half a carry. Half a carry. He had a 3-leg parlay, got the first 2 legs, got 18 carries of an 18.5 over parlay, a heartbreaker.
Those vocals are beautiful.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Jeremy. We got to collaborate on one of these songs one day. I be hearing you.
You don't have to ask twice, dude.
Right
That's
now.
happening.
Yes, sir. Next leg, my brother who's shocking the world, the Rookie of the Year guarantee, Jayden Daniels. I'd say he will get over 10.5 carries against your ESGLSE Eagles this week.
Thank you. Please, Chris Cody, get that again because we cannot play the sound enough. Do you know what he's referencing there, Greg?
Yeah, somebody, a politician or
the
somebody.
The Philadelphia mayor did this.
Let me hear you all say, E-L-G-S-E-S, Eagles! Let's go, Bird!
It's not that tough a word to spell. What's going on?
The pressure gets to you. Juju said it yesterday. Like, when you're trying to do these chants, like, I can relate to this a little bit.
Yeah, you know, a little Wade Jones situation. And the last leg, I'm going to travel. You know what, this week? I'm going to go commando all the way this week. You dig me? Taylor, I see you. I'm going Diami Brown over 44.5 yards receiving this week against the ESGLES Eagles. I say, get it done.
Wow. Okay. Let's all ride those bets. I'll tell you that. All of them sound great. All of them sound great to me. I'm on it.
This is what it sounds like. Greg Cody steering the ship.
Right. That was Greg Cody trying to transition and not knowing what to do at the end.
Those are bets right there.
Yeah.
It is an awkward transition.
Greg, why didn't you just speak like a normal human being?
I don't know. What can I tell you? I'm a professional broadcaster.
You're just tired at the end of the show?
I'm a professional broadcaster.
It's been 2 long days we've been riding you. What did you want to ask Juju?
Okay, I need a referendum on today's show, what people loved and didn't love, because when I hear the UFO guy introduced as the most popular guest in the history of the show, I'm going to have to doubt that a little bit.
It's numerical. It's just numerical.
Okay.
When he appears, it triggers something that people go crazy, and the algorithm feeds all of the people who are interested in UFOs, and so it becomes like something that can be quantified.
Yeah, most people are crackpots. What did you learn, Juju, from this guy's appearance?
People do love my brother. At the first time he came on, people call him this, people call him that. But guess what speaks louder than words? Actual factuals. And my brother just been reporting all these years, and a lot of the stuff he's been reporting has been ringing true. So people have showed that brother a lot of support online.
Greg Cody
so
thought
Dan is
that
right.
was a bad guest. You thought you tuned him out because you don't want to hear UFO talk.
He wants to be considered the best guest in show history.
No,
he
no.
got offended when you called that guy that.
I'm an agnostic when it comes to UFOs. Like I don't have the avid interest that believers do. But my question for that guy, and I should have asked it, I think.
It's good that we're getting to it now.
Yeah, but Juju, maybe you have an opinion. Why is the informed assumption seem to be that UFOs pose a threat or an adversarial relationship?
That's an interesting question to ask Juju out of nowhere.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there are friends that we haven't met
Juju,
yet.
why is that? Why are we not more positive about the fact that the aliens aren't coming here to attack us or ransack us? Maybe they just want to spend time with us, listening to sports shows.
Right, I think it's like the movies. We do them a bad job and injustice in these movies. Independence Day, Men in Black. They always come down with horrible intentions. Like you said, maybe they want to come down and see Patrick Mahomes play Josh Allen this week.
You know what?
You never know.
If I see a UFO, if I see a guy with a big giant green head, I'm going to invite him out to lunch. We're going to have a relationship.
My dad and an alien, like at Billy's Tavern, eating some wings.
Why not?
Over at Sweet Tomatoes at the buffet,
It's on
sniffing
me.
around the candied broccoli.
Exactly.
I know what agnostic means, but I don't think my brother Jeremy knows what it means.
He's going to start coughing here in a second. Do you have any other? There it is. Do you have any other?
Well, here's one. I have to know whether the Ford Tagliabue was the winning poll answer. I have to know that.
Oh man, which of these cars would you be most likely to buy? I'm gonna read them off: the Volkswagen Bolitnikov, the Ford Tagliabue, the Chrysler Concepcion, or the Chevy Terrassi, which were very easy for a brother like me to spell. But 39% of the audience chose the Chevy Terrassi.
That was Stugotz's. That was Stugotz's nominee. Do we have any other critiques here, or polls, or what else do we want to do? Because, and I want to get to all of this, but Scott Van Pelt has responded, and so I do want to get back to Scott Van Pelt in a second. But finish us off here, Juju, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Should we all be so lucky to live Betty White's life? 93% of the audience says yes, we should, and people know how I feel about Betty. Salute,
right.
Rest in peace.
Who are those
Ooh, I miss you,
7%?
girl.
Who are those 7%?
But how about Greg Cody saying that Betty White got around because she had 3 husbands and dated one other man?
That's
He
a
dated a
compliment.
Cochran.
That's a compliment.
He was there. We didn't see it. He saw it with his own eyes.
There you go. Me and Betty.
Studio 54.
All right. I betted Betty.
All right.
People put it. People love the polls. Do you have any other? Do you have any other polls? I really don't think you should say that.
All right. Edit that out.
Has there ever been a good show with a colon in the title? Wording. 57% of the audience said no, it has not.
Any critiques on today's show? We have had a bit of a hot streak over the last couple of months where everybody feels pretty good about what we're doing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we had some critiques over the last week. This week, there's been some rumblings. People want people to pay their fines, man. So we got to get this fine system down pat now. I think we should stop wasting time. I don't know. Send the code out to everybody because I owe like $14 myself, and I got it for you. I'm ready to send it, but I don't know where to send it to.
I paid my $7. I paid. We're getting that going.
Today. Greg, we are doing this for Venmo. Juju, if you have anything else, I do have some Scott Van Pelt questions for you guys before I call him again, because he says that I was calling him at an old number, so it rang on his computer just now. So I'm going to I'm going to re-FaceTime him now. But do we want to take any bets on how it is that he answers the phone?
He seems well, he knows you're calling now. It's a totally different thing when you're expecting a call than when it's a random call. So we're not going to get like a SVP in the wild like the way he would answer. I think he's going to answer with, "What's up, Danny?"
That's a good one. I say he goes yellow with the hello, but with the Y on the front of it.
I like that.
I think he's like a faux formal, like Mr. Le Batard, that type of thing.
I think he might just give you a yo.
Okay, so I'm not. Should I call him on FaceTime or should I call him? It's easier to put him on speaker if it's not FaceTime.
Yeah, not FaceTime.
Yeah, no, you don't need to FaceTime. Just call him, put it on speaker, and make sure it's near the mic so the mic can pick it up.
So let's do this. All right, let's see what we've got here.
Oh, I love the sound of a ring.
This call is presented by DraftKings.
Hello.
Yeah, just a boring hello is all he gave us.
Damn.
Now, what's up, Danny? Hello, Scott. Nice to talk to you. It's Dan Le Batard. You're on the air, and we have a pressing accusation that you might want to respond to.
Okay.
I'm sorry to do this to you this way. It's unpleasant, but you have been accused publicly by a person in Georgia, you and Matthew Berry, of cutting the TSA line at the national championship game.
Let me tell you something, Dan. There was no line. All there was mayhem and lawlessness and chaos. It was survival of the fittest. It was kill or be killed. And did we break the line? Allegedly. I popped to all of this on the podcast that we did. We came in, yes, we did. We came in a door. And where we came in, there were thousands of people, Ohio State, Notre Dame fans, all of whom were incredibly pleasant, by the way. I enjoyed meeting all of them in the 3 hours we stood the TSA line waiting to get through. Go to the clear TSA line, they say. Sure. Like that's the cheat code I don't know? No shit. I know where to go. There's nowhere to go. So I'm standing there and there's no one's helping, no red jackets helping. And we look and we say, this isn't going to work. And I'm like, wait, is this even a line? Let's go down there and see. And so we wandered down towards a different door where if you came in that door, you just blended into the line because there wasn't a line. So that's what we did. And if that's against the law, then I am guilty as charged.
Okay, good talking to you.
From fireside conversations to football Sundays, winter means more moments with the coolest people in your life. Make these moments even better with Miller Lite, the great-tasting light beer for people who love beer. A new year is a perfect time for friends, family, and a great-tasting light beer. Tastes like Miller time. You know, 2024 had its ups, had its downs, had a lot of moments in it. For me, many of those moments, I had a Miller Lite right there by my side. I supplemented my time by making it a Miller time. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Miller Lite has taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just a great beer for people who love beer. Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, and it has simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Welcome to DraftKings Crowning Moments, when we put a big old spotlight on some winning NFL bets from the weekend and a divisional round weekend that was one of the all-time greats. Let's begin with a massive bet. I sure hope this person did it responsibly. Either way, they're a winner. $20,000 on Tyler Higbee, who really was good at the end of the season. 4+ receptions at plus 115 odds. That is a massive payday, an unbelievable $43,000. Let's go to our next winning bet, $9,000. Lots of confidence there on Travis Kelce to rack up over 54.5 receiving yards at minus 110. That is a big bet that also paid off. Travis Kelce does this thing in the postseason where there's a narrative about him being washed, and then boom, postseason, he's the number one option over there. That turned into a $17,181.81 payday, because betting on greatness usually pays off. And here's a clutch play. $1,000 on Rashad Bateman of the Baltimore Ravens to score the first touchdown in that game. He did so at plus 1,200 odds. It paid off a massive $13,000. So good luck there. Crowning Moments is presented by DraftKings. Submit your winning bets for a chance to be featured. DraftKings, the crown is yours.